All right. So today, in our series of building automated follow-ups for our system, today I wanted to work with you guys to build one for those clients who are really 12 months plus out. And if you've been in this business for a while, and even if you haven't been, you've probably come across a lead in your system, somebody that's been in there for more than a year, and they're still actively looking, and maybe they haven't done anything yet. And I'm sure if you're, getting internet leads, you've encountered somebody who straight up told you, "Hey, I'm 3 to 5 years or something like that away from moving." So you don't want to just throw those leads away, because I don't know about you guys, but I plan on being in the business a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. So if somebody's going to be ready then, I want to make sure that I'm ready to help them then, right? So part of that is putting together something for those folks that are a little bit further out. And I don't think we're recreating the wheel here, but I do want to kind of go over with you guys what I pulled together trying to use Chat GPT, and that's just meaningful, insightful, value-driven touches on a regular basis to stay in front of these folks, mixed with, a touch on your end. Unlike the nurture auto track that we built, which is basically just reminding you not to forget to reach out to these people, this is a little more hands off because they're not ready. So you don't need to be calling them every day or even every week. But we also know situations change, right? And we've all called somebody who said, "Oh, yeah, well, actually, we closed last week," when, your last conversation with them was they're not going to be ready anytime soon. And that's why it's so important to keep your database clean by following up with the reminders that you have in there, and also making sure that you set good ones to make sure that you're not missing folks. One thing that I wanted to note before we jump into like the text of this stuff and really look at it is, we have it set up now where the new folks will move to that archive drip that we built on our last call. But make sure if you're going in and following up maybe with someone that you set a to do for. I'll give you an example. I had several people that popped up on the website, so I engaged them in text, but they really weren't on a drip or anything. Some of them responded asking for information about property. I sent it to them, or engaging about criteria, and then they just kind of dropped off. So yesterday, as I was following up with some of those folks, I'd say, "Hey, I hadn't heard from you in a bit since we connected," reminding them what we talked about, ask them what's going on, but also starting that archive auto drip to try and wake them back up. Or heck, you can start over the initial drip. You could use the one that doesn't include calls, or does set the reminders for calls. So just make sure that you're utilizing all of these. And unless you're having active two-way conversation with someone, make sure that they're getting something from you on a regular basis. Okay, outside of the property alerts themselves. So any thoughts, questions about that before I kind of share my screen?
Following.
Did anybody have any initial thoughts about, what really needs to be included in this, or anything that they wanted to share ahead of time? Any thoughts on like frequency messaging?
I
That's
mean,
one thing.
it's
Go
go
ahead,
ahead,
Brandon.
Connor. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's one thing I don't really know is like when people are a ways out is how frequently, because you don't want to, irritate them if they're 3 years out. You don't want to be calling them, you know, once a month or whatever. So do you reach out like once a quarter, as far as like a call goes, or how frequent do we reach out to them just to keep them active and on the site?
My opinion on that, I think that's a great question. And Doug, you tell me if you think I'm off base here. I think it really depends. With all of these drips, they can only be so specific, right? I mean, there's got to be a little bit of agent savvy here, knowing your people and your database and keeping track of the conversations and communication and their timeline and the notes on your CRM. If I have someone that says they're 12 months out, I'm reaching out once a quarter to just say, hey, here's what I'm seeing in the market. Here's what we're seeing with rates. Here's what we're seeing with inventory. Based on everything I'm seeing doing this every day as a professional, this is where I see things going between now and when you're ready. Has anything changed? What questions do you have for me? If someone tells me, you know, where I think the situation you just gave Connor is 3 years from now, tell me if I'm wrong,
Hmm.
2 or 3 years, something like that. I'm reaching out every other quarter, pretty much the same way. Hope things are great since we last spoke. Here's where the market is right now. Um, Here's where I see things going. Here are the interest rates. Here's where I see things going. And then maybe for someone that far out, I might would couch it a little bit differently, trying to get them to engage with me a little bit two-way. What are you seeing where you're at now? How's the market where you are? Is that mirroring what I'm seeing here? Are you hotter? Are you cold? And that could be helpful just to not only spur conversation, but also like if they've told you they have to sell, right? Is it going to take them a little bit longer in the tooth to get that property under contract when they're ready to do that?
Okay.
Um, I'm just making some notes.
Okay, that's good advice, Brandon. Thank you. You don't want to over touch people because some people get annoyed by that, but you also don't want to leave them hanging and then be like, and then think, oh, well, they never reach out, they never, try to communicate. I feel like it's a very fine line where you
I
walk,
agree.
like, find a
Yeah,
balance
I mean,
in that.
again, there's a little bit of savvy to all this, right? It's not a one size fits all ever on anything in real estate. And that's really the importance of knowing the people that are in your database because we've all had people where they're like, hey, man, I'm happy to stay in touch with you, but I don't need you calling me every quarter. And it's up to me to know who that guy is, as opposed to, that sweet lady who can't wait to move here because her daughter lives here. And she's like, thank you so much for staying in touch with me. You're the only person that stays in touch with me. I've got that lady in the bag as long as I keep doing what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was texting. It was actually Tay Connor, the lead that you sent me a while ago. She kind of went quiet on me. She found like a short term rental on her own in Rocky Mount, but I heard back from her yesterday finally, and she was like, "My boyfriend's moving in January. His two adult children are coming. We're gonna need a much bigger place, and he says he wants to buy." And I was like, "Perfect. Thanks for the update. I'll talk to you after the holidays." And she's like, "Merry Christmas." So
Yeah.
that's just how you do it. You find out where people are, you stay in touch with them, and you make sure you're understanding what they're looking for, and you set the expectation for follow up, right? Always set the expectation for follow up. By doing that, they're not going to get as frustrated or frustrated at all when you follow up with them, even if they're not ready, right?
Yeah. I
Because
feel
they
like,
know you've already said, "Hey, I'm going to check in with you every couple months because I just, things change. I want to see how life is going."
yeah.
And if you do your follow ups right and follow up around the right times, well, you can talk about other stuff like, "Hey, school's get ready to start. My kids are going back to school. What's happening in your world?" Or, "Hey,
Yeah.
July 4th's coming up. Y'all doing anything fun to travel or see fireworks?" Or, any of that stuff. So it gives you other talking points to talk about. So it's not just like, "Hey, you still moving in 12 months? Hey, I hadn't talked to you in 3 months. You still moving in 9 months? Hey, you still moving in 6 months? I hadn't talked to you in 3 months." You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you got to mix it up a little bit. So part of that, to Brandon's point, we can build these drips all day long, but they're not going to apply to everybody blanket wise. So you have to use, um, your own judgment and kind of massaging it. Um,
This
and
time of year is good too, because like yesterday, like my people who I know are buying, next year kind of reached out and was like, hey, I wanted to reach out before you got busy, say happy holidays. Happy New Year, and I look forward to working with you in 2025.
Yeah.
Every single call I've made that's probably the last 7 days has included, hey, I just wanted to wish you Merry Christmas and hey, if you want to buy a house today, I'm here, but I'll call you in January, February. So yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Scan in your Christmas card that you mail out to people and email it to the leads you're actively talking to in the database and just say, hey, just a quick Merry Christmas wish from me. Anything, just a little touch point, anything. It's not even about real estate, really. Merry
Yeah.
Christmas. It's been
I
nice
don't
getting to know you a little bit this year.
I don't want to squirrel too much from the topic at hand here, but I did want to point out something that Connor just said, which I think is really important, and it's a simple thing that I think most people in most agents in our business don't take into consideration. And again, you may have heard I said, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, Club 13, 87% of agents are out of the business in 5 years. Um, Connor, you said I look forward to working with you next year, right? You're planting the seed that I'm your agent, right? Not I
Yeah.
hope I get the chance to, or let's stay in. No, no, I'm your agent. I look forward to helping you next year. Plant that seed in their brain. I don't need to look on anyone else's side, or I don't need to call anyone else. If I see a property or my timeline changes, Connor is my person. She's my agent, right? Those little subtle things do make a difference.
On
You know
that topic with Brandon, like words and stuff, I've really been trying to work on when I call my non-sales talk, but like I'm reading this book. It's called Exactly What to Say to Close the Deal. I
Did I
think with
give
like,
you that book?
huh?
Did I give you that book?
No, have you read it?
I bought that for the Triangle team. What was it, 2 years ago, Doug?
Oh,
Heck,
Yeah.
wow. That's too
um,
funny. Yeah. It's
it's a
really
great
helpful
book.
because like, I don't want to sound salesy. So I'm trying to, work on that, but it's a quick read too. So anyway,
Yeah.
good book. To go
Wow,
That's
along
that's
with what
cool.
y'all are
that's a
saying.
great topic for a future mastermind. I'm adding it to the calendar right now.
Yeah,
Just talking about the power of language and how words matter. Um,
Mhm.
so thanks for that idea.
I have an Anthony who he'll be like, why don't you say it like this instead? So
I have a Matt too. He's like,
yeah.
you really killed that one. I was like, in a good way. He's like, no, no.
Well, and that's a great reason to prospect around other people, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and you don't have to do it in person, set up a FaceTime with somebody and be like, hey, listen to me prospect for 20 minutes and give me some feedback. Or coach folks meet at the office, or no, we can meet anywhere in the triangle. Take advantage of your teammates like that. Even if you do it like once a quarter, just to make sure that you're not slipping, that you're not lazy, that you hadn't gotten too quick with your pacing and you're just rushing through and you're not really trying to connect with anybody, but you're just scripting. You know what I mean? There's a lot of good reasons to do that. But to refocus on
Yeah.
the auto track for the 12 month, that's great discussion. That's why we do this. It's really helpful, I think, to talk about things like this. But um, so I think it needs to be balanced. I think that you need to provide some information every month or every 2 months, but I think that you also need to set a reminder just to check their account and what's going on. And maybe you call them or maybe you don't call them, but you go in and you look at their activity. Am I sending the homes on the right basis? Maybe I'm only sending them weekly right now because they're a year out. But maybe it's time to switch it to twice a week. Maybe it's time to set it to daily, especially if they have, a low search match, right? Because they have a very specific search, things like that. Maybe I just need to see if they're even opening the things at all. Because if they're not, maybe when I call them, hey, are these even getting through to you? I know you're a ways out, but I want you to start learning about the market. So I think in between these other steps of pushing information out, it's also the reminders for us to, hey, let me do a quick assessment of what's going on with their activity online just to make sure that I'm doing my part on my end, and then reach out if I need to. Check in. Hey, has your time frame changed? Hey, do you know anybody I can help? Hell, ask for the business, right? Because I guarantee you, if they know somebody and they refer them to you before they work with you, you can bet your ass they're going to work with you when the time comes, right? So ask for the business in the meantime. I can't tell you how many of these folks that I've texted with that have jumped on the website or whatever. And I'm like, hey, you need anything? Or are you looking? No, we're not really looking. I'm just exploring the market. Okay, that's fine. We're not planning on moving. Okay, well, hey, don't forget my information. If you know anybody I can help, they'll give me a thumbs up. They'll be like, okay, sure. They might not ever, but I can tell you they're not going to call me if I don't ask for it.
Mm.
I've
Right.
literally, every time I'm making a call, and your seasoned salespeople probably do this, but every time I leave a message, I don't think I've ever had anybody call me back and be like, hey, I'm so glad you called. I mean, yes, but I always follow up with a text and send my info. I'm just making that kind of a standard if I haven't done that. Anyway.
I like that. And you know what? One thing I really like about iPhone now is like I'm leaving a message and it pops up to like share your info.
Yeah.
So now they know who it is instead of it's just a phone number. So, I mean, I think that's really cool too. So I'm trying to kind of utilize all that as well. All right, let me share my screen and you guys can give me some feedback on kind of what we're looking at here. I like to go in and massage and wordsmith this stuff, but it's really helpful just so you're not starting from scratch. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? So kind of the way it's set up is odd numbered months, kind of an email and a text. And you can do, and maybe you don't need to do the text as well. Maybe you just do the email, or maybe you make them different. But it's like, and again, this is like a kind of, instead of establishing a connection, kind of confirming the connection. Hey, I know that you're a little ways out, but I want to let you know and setting the expectations. I'm going to be checking in, on a regular basis to provide you some information to get you ready for this process. And also just to make sure that that the timing is still kind of the way you thought it was going to be, right? Because people change, situations change, life happens, right? So making sure that we're following up. So, this one is just about, again, reestablishing. I'm going to change that one to kind of reestablishing a connection. But then we've got some guidance. So, hey, are you saving? A lot of people, their reason for waiting is they're saving, right? I'm not quite there yet. I want to get some more saved up. So, hey, here's some strategies, or I can connect you with my lender, etc. Again, not really heady stuff, not deep dives, just putting stuff out there to keep the conversation going, keep you front of mind. Preferences, as we're getting a little bit further along, because you see these are by every other month with these automated touches, right? So now we're in month 5. So that would be, somebody says they're a year out, halfway through the process, right? So have you thought about the neighborhood? Or if you haven't sent me preferences, have you figured those out yet? Or, I've been sending you properties based on our last discussion about your criteria. What are your thoughts on what you're seeing? Are you narrowing down neighborhoods, or has your criteria changed? Do I need to update your search? Is something more or less important to you now? Has your area of focus changed, etc.? All right,
Doug,
preparing for fine. Yeah.
one thing you may have on here that I haven't seen is, I think it's always a good question to ask. Any trips planned to the area anytime soon?
Okay, that's a great one.
That allows you to go in for that face to face, get them in the dealership.
Yep. This one's about financing. This one's about, market trends. And of course I could slide these up and down in like order preference of what you think should be first. And then, hey, we're getting here towards the end of it, encourage and action. We're getting closer to your timeline. Let's make sure you're prepared. When are you coming into town? Are you coming into town? Are we on track to do this? Are you ready? And then kind of right here, the even months, the even number of months, because those were the odd numbered months, right? Activity check, call reminder, check the lead activity on the website, etc. Searches, have they created other searches? Have they saved properties to their favorites? Are they looking at the same property multiple times? Have they run mortgage calculations, right? Of course, if you see somebody do that, that's a great reminder to connect them with a lender if you haven't done that yet, and just see, hey, what's going on? Is your time frame the same? Got any trips planned? Doing anything fun this month? You planning to come to town anytime soon to explore the area, meet friends, you know, if they're moving to be closer to family? A lot of that. I've been nurturing this lady for like a year, who's the mom of one of my past clients. And, you know, I touch base with her about every 2 months because she's constantly looking at properties, and she lives in Florida, but she's not quite ready yet. But I'm going to keep talking to her, and I'm going to keep reaching out to her, and she keeps responding. It's just not the right time yet. And, you know, that's the way it works. That's just the nature of the business. So can definitely add that part in there about you got any trips planned, anything like that. Any other thoughts of things that need to be included or taken out of this or massaged a little bit or what? Feel like we're pretty much on track with what we want to get across, the points we want to get across.
I think so.
April.
I'm muted, yes.
Okay. Santa Mark.
Santa Mark. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Definitely. I just had a question. The month, it's counting a month 30 days from the day you started, correct? It's not gonna, like, if you started 5 days before the month's over, that's the month.
I think what I would do is when you start this, kind of like where the archive one is like a week later, or the nurture one was like a month later, this would be like a month later, like 30 days. I would set it like, because when you build these, just to kind of switch screens and give you an example, you select the day. So you would just change it. I'll change it to like day 30. So
Right. Okay,
if
gotcha.
you go in and you're talking to Sarah and you know she's a year out or whatever, and you go in and you set the auto track and apply the 12-month auto track, the first step wouldn't be for 30 days.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
then, you know, 30 days after that.
Perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
that was my question.
So is this auto track, is this for people who are more than a year out or for people who are a year out?
Well, ideally, it would be for folks who are like 12 plus months out. I mean,
Okay.
you could apply it as soon as you want to,
Okay.
you know, because you want to make sure that you're touching them and you want to continue to send information out. You can use it however you want to, but ideally, they're not going to be ready for about 12 months. So we want to make sure that we're touching them one way or another every month, whether it's just an email or a call, or we're just taking a good look at their account to make sure that we don't need to really take an action, that something has changed, right? Or that they're not getting anything at all, right?
Okay.
But I mean, you could use that with someone that you think is going to be ready in 3 months, right?
Yeah.
And just start it immediately. If you wanted to do that, you definitely could.
Okay. Will this have a reminder like every month or so with each one just for us to check it? Okay, good.
So not every month, but what it's going to do is we're going to provide, like, send an automated message every other month. And then the months in between, there's going to be a reminder, check their activity, reach out, make sure time frame is the same, see if they're coming into town,
Yeah.
see if anything has changed, something like that. And that'll be like a call reminder.
Yeah. I like Brandon's suggestion of the are you visit, especially here for the coast.
Yeah,
Is
definitely.
are you visiting anytime soon? Do you have any plans? Things like that, just to get people thinking about visiting. And if they are visiting, that's when they can be like, hey, we'll be visiting in 3 months. So, you know,
And then you can set a reminder to
yeah,
check in 2 weeks before that, get on their calendar, right?
yeah,
And hell, I'll say now, okay, you're going to be here in 3 months. What week? Okay, I'm going to pencil you in for that Friday. You know,
Me
something like
too.
that.
I
And
think
even if
that's
it changes, that's fine. But what are you doing?
I
You're
think
setting
that's a
the
great thing to
expectation
do.
that you're going to see them face to face when they're in town, right?
yeah,
Gives you a chance to meet them face to face, develop a rapport, and go ahead and win their business and their trust. And also, I think subliminally, what you're saying is, hey, I'm willing to put in the work now, even though I know I'm not getting paid.
yeah,
I love it. That's all such great advice and such a great way to approach it. Because again, our job is to build relationships. We're not convincing people to buy or sell. They've already decided they want to do that. We're showing them why we're the best person to help them do it. And the best way to do that is build a legitimate relationship with folks. Doesn't mean they have to be your best friend. You have to hang out with them all the time after closing, although that's fine too, right? But you have to seek to really make a connection with these folks if you want to earn their trust. And the best way to do that is to spend some time with them before they're ready, because they're going to be loyal to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring up a point.
To a
Sorry,
degree,
Ben.
you guys are doing this already. That's why you're having the success that you are. But it's good to revisit these things and talk about them. You know, didn't mean to cut you off, Mark. Please go ahead.
No, it's just about the wordsmithing that you mentioned before. Is again, one thing I always do. It's never their search or your search. It's our search.
Well, I like
And
that.
things like
I like
that. That's our problem. What we need to do, not what you
Yep.
need to do. So it's always that they're in my group. We're in a group.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Mark. That's great. And keep that in your quiver to talk about when we talk about the words matter stuff in January, when we do that in a mastermind, because I think that's going to be a really fun discussion. And talking about how different people are doing those things, like you're saying, like Brandon's talking about assuming the relationship, assuming the close, like April is talking about making sure that she's always touching base and then following up, etc. You know, I think all of those things are very helpful, and not that everybody needs to do all of them, but knowing things that you can utilize to better build the relationship and earn their trust, because that's what it's about.
I gotta leave real quick. I gotta be an appointment in Raleigh at 11:30. Thank you for doing this. This is great.
You're welcome.
Y'all have a
I'll
great
work.
day.
You
Bye,
too.
Brandon.
I'm
Have
going
a
to
great
work
day.
on.
Thank you.
Holler if I can help with anything.
Thank you, Brandon. Good luck with your appointment. I'm going to work on building this, and I'll let you guys know when it's set up, so you can start using it as you need to. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
All
Mark, you
right.
got something else? Anybody got anything else?
No,
Not the minute.
I got a DD I need to get finished up because I need a break. Ready for a break.
All right. Go do your thing. Have
Merry
a great
Christmas,
day. If I
everybody.
can do anything to help y'all.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye
guys.
bye. Bye bye. Ho ho.
Bye.